Bitcoin weekend update. Today is September 8th. We're going into the weekend. It's Friday. Let's take a look at what you should be watching for this weekend today. Right, we'll start off here on the 4-hour chart. But first, let's address the elephant in the room. Some camera issues over the past couple of days. As you can tell, I still ain't got it figured out just yet. If anyone's a camera guru, I've tried 78 different settings and multiple hours of trying to troubleshoot this. I feel like I look like Casper the Ghost. I don't know what's going on, but there's definitely like a white balance issue. If anybody's got any clue, let me know. Otherwise, let's get right to it. 4-hour Bitcoin chart, the Gaussian channel overlaid, and our moving averages. So I know it looks relatively busy on here, but we really only have three things: the Bollinger Bands, moving averages, and Gaussian channel. Okay, so that's what we're looking at. A move up yesterday. Kind of a tower top here, right? What is a tower top? When you have a large move up, couple of candles, consolidation, and then a large move down, right? Just back to your base. So that's a tower top, very similar to here. Not really textbook tower previously here. You can see this is more of like a mini version of this, right? Tower tops usually have, relatively flat tops, right? And they'll usually only last a couple of sessions on whatever, chart you're looking at, 4-hour, daily, 3-day, whatever. These can happen. So that's where we're at. That's probably the odds, right? Until you see a move up and then follow through with another move up or sustained move up or consolidation and then a bounce, like say here, right? The odds are the moves are going to fade, right? The move higher will fade, but will the moves lower fade, right? Maybe, because we've been really holding this consolidation level of around 26K for the better part of 2 weeks now, right? We're going, almost 3 weeks, going back to mid-August, really. So 4-hour, we don't really have a way to go, right? We're really indecision here. We might need to look at bigger time frames, which we're going to do shortly. But for today and tomorrow, we really got to hold these. I would say you want to paint a zone here. So you want to get as many candles as possible in here with, maintaining flat. So I would guess our zone is somewhere in this area, right? Going all the way back to August 17th, we put a low in of 25.2. So obviously we don't want to really be breaching that. 25K is the level you'll see on, as we zoom out here. But you have another wick on August 22nd there. You have another one, handful right here, 3 there, cluster, another one, another one, another one. So these are all wicks, notice, right? No closing candles in here. So if you start to get a close down here, right, that's showing more weakness than what we've seen so far. And yet, our closing prices seem to, if you put on closing prices here, you can see these are still making lower lows. So keep that in mind as well. That might be more significant on higher time frames, which we will get to again shortly. That's not always a bad thing. So let's zoom out to the daily, see if that zone still plays a key part. And surprise, surprise, still a pretty significant area, right? Our larger wicks all hitting that zone on the daily time frame. Now, what else do we have shaping up on the daily is, our Bollinger Bands. Look how tight they are, right? From 27 down to 25K. So $2,000 swing. Not super tight, but, tighter than, certainly a 31 to 24, right? So maybe a larger move sometime towards next week. So will it be continuation, right? Or are we going to do this and then kind of sideways and then down? I feel like that's the majority of people starting to lean that way, but not so fast, right? We don't want to just, price is king. Price will tell you what the hell's going to happen, not anyone and your favorite shitcoin YouTubers on whatever, subreddit you're at. But we have a potential of kind of this double kind of fulcrum wall here, double bottom here, right, where this could absolutely happen. But we have major resistance up in this area. Previous support will likely flip to resistance, at least initially. So you want to look for like the median Gaussian channel here. Around 29K would be huge. Resistance likely, at least initially, right? We're looking at, some kind of zone right in that area. If we do in fact make a move higher, we obviously have to clear this high first, 27.6-ish. So we're looking for closes. We have a lot of headroom between here and 29K. It's not likely just going to melt up like that, but possibility, right? So I'm trying to give you all the possibilities, bullish and bearish, right? The unbiased crypto review, the most unbiased analysis on crypto, I do believe, right? So I try to look at both sides from a referee's point of view, right? Referees aren't supposed to cheer for either team. Sometimes they favor one or the other, but generally speaking, you want to look at an analysis from like a chart you have no weight in, no investment in, right? And that's what I try to do as best as possible. So look at bulls and bearish, relay that information to you, and then you can be whatever side of the fence you want to be on based on the facts, right? So hopefully that helps. So your 200-day is right here in the pink, right? That's going to be a huge obstacle. That's around 27K. However, yesterday we did something we haven't done in a long time. We closed above the EMA 8. And you might say, well, what about here? I kind of use this as an anomaly. If you remember back what the hell this was just a kind of a knee-jerk reaction to the news of the grayscale, right? So just sold off. I would look at that not as a necessarily black swan, but news-driven events, really I don't pay attention to chart-wise. So I don't think you should look at it as anything other than price action being down here. So this is significant. However, we could just be looking at again, still down here because it was immediately sold off again, right? We whatever we did yesterday, again, early this morning, gone again, right? So basically we've been flatlined here around, high 25s, low 26s, right? So we need a sustained move. That's what we're looking for. We need follow through. We haven't got it. Any kind of move up is immediately given back. A move up is immediately given back. A move up is immediately given back within 1 or 2 sessions. So look for the opposite of that. If we get a move to, again, back to the upside today, we need Saturday and Sunday to also be relatively strong. Okay. So that's what I'd be watching for, right? And then, EMA 8, good sign, but we closed back below maybe today, right? We still have 12 hours as of right now. Watch for the EMA 8 close. What's that number? I'm glad you asked. 26K, right? Close above 26K today, and that would be back-to-back closes above the EMA 8. That would be a sign of at least potential bullish traction gaining, right? Hopefully that makes sense. Let's clear this out. Get rid of the Picasso. So that's the daily chart. How about a little bit higher, right? We're still under the Gaussian channel there as well. So the 3-day, this is where it starts to get a little bit more edge to the bulls. And you're like, well, it doesn't look like it. Well, let's point it out, right? We have a clear fail zone here, right? We're approaching it quickly. We've been here, right? Here's our zone. This is probably the most important line of defense on all of crypto as of now. 25K all the way down to 24.5-ish. That's where we start to lose, right? You can even drag this out, right? You should be well aware of this kind of zone, right? You can drag this out to over here back in July 2022 even, right? That previous resistance, we broke down our bear market capitulation, first initial bounce to, you guessed it, previous support, lost, now resistance again in February, broke through, throwback to that level, right? Hopefully you're seeing this, right? Breakout, throwback, bullish retest, bounce again, and now this is the true test, right? That we haven't really tested it yet. This was high odds of bouncing. This time is going to tell us if the big bulls are here or this was all just pretend. So here we are. This is the absolute biggest level as of now. We cannot close a candle below here. We could wick below here, and I don't care, right? And you shouldn't either. A closing below 25K, 24.5, that would be significant. Okay, so pay attention to that if we get that over the next day and 13 hours, right? This is the 3-day candles, right? So this candle closes tomorrow at close, right? So Saturday close, and then we also have the weekly close Sunday, which we'll look at the weekly chart momentarily. But the 3-day chart, not only is this, we're holding above it, we're doing well, we have our higher lows, right? This would also put in a lower low, so that would be bad as well, right? That's crossing the streams bad. That'd be our first lower low in all of 2023. So we don't want to be messing around with that. Also, major zone. Okay, so bullish. How about the bull side? Well, I like that, we're this move here followed by this move here is more of a bullish sign, right? A falling channel after a big move down is bullish, right? If you can think back to the weekly chart, late last year, 2022, we had that. We can look at that in a minute, or you can go pull that up if I forget. We had something very similar where we fell down and we were putting in these macro weekly candles of lower lows and lower highs. And this has a higher conviction rate, right? Greater than 0%, certainly better than 50% chance of breaking back to the upside here. If you invert this chart, right, you can see this, you know, if you have a move up like this and then you still keep climbing, right, these kind of rising channels have a higher conviction rate of breaking down. Hopefully that makes sense. Invert the chart, right? Sometimes inverting the chart can sway your bias because of most people only focus on the bullish narratives and are less convinced or less, familiar with bearish narratives. So invert the chart and you got it, right? So there, hopefully this helps on the 3-day, especially the higher time frame. This could be more important than, you know, the daily or the 4-hour that we've previously looked at. We're also at, you know, big macro support, right? Having a bullish pattern, which has, you know, greater than 50%, it's slightly, most patterns are just barely better than 50-50. And that's really all you're trying to do is get the odds on your side, right? If you can go 60-40 in your favor, right? That's the side you should be favoring. Even the most absolute picture perfect pattern of like head and shoulder, falling wedge, whatever your favorite, patterns are, only have maybe at best about 70% chance of happening, right? Even picture perfect textbook, right? So even if you see the best looking pattern you've ever seen, nobody can argue it's definitively that pattern and it's textbook. You got maybe 70% chance of pulling it off, right? So keep that in the back of your mind the next time your favorite, chart analyst is showing you this is the pattern. It's going to go that way. There's a 30% likelihood at least that it's going to fail, right? So keep that in mind. So this one, I would give it maybe 60-40 of a chance to break back to the upside before, closing, under 25K. Right. So there's still a 40% chance based on this chart, based on this pattern, that we're still going lower. So keep that in mind. But 60% say bulls. OK, so hopefully that makes sense. Wait to see how candles close and then try to interpret them. We've had basically nothing here but indecision. Right. This is a little bit more bearish. Right. You never want to see a higher wick, especially a lower candle body like this, but maybe at the bottom of a rally, right? We had a potential, I think the last Bitcoin video we made said this could be a potential inverse hammer. So did it print that? No, it was more indecision or just a doji candle spinning top, right? When you have these lower wicks, right? But certainly a bigger sell-off than we wanted and more bearish than bullish for sure. Right. So now we're still indecisive, right? We're at key levels. So how about, that, having said that, right, we're also under all moving averages. So you got to lean a little bit more bearish there. We're in the lower section, the lower half of this Gaussian channel in the 3-day. So again, bearish on that based on that facts, right? You need to get back above 27.5, 28K. Right, here's your 200 EMA, which is also the 600-day moving average at 27.6. So I would certainly be leaning a little bit more bearish until we can get above that line, right? The 200 or the 600-day. The 200 EMA, hopefully it makes sense. If you're like, why is he calling it 200 and 600? Good question. It's the 200 EMA on the 3-day chart, which is 2 times 6 for the mathematicians, 600-day. Hopefully it makes sense, right? 600-day EMA right there, 27.5. We got to get back above that to really, slap the bulls in the face and, wake them up, right? So that's where we're looking at on the bigger picture, where we tried to do it back on that 3-day candle, but, sold off, right? Wicks don't matter. Closing prices matter. All right, weekly chart. Now what the hell we got going on, right? The biggest picture. Right. This is the chart. If you're long-term investor, focus on weekly and monthly charts and not much else. Right. This will tell you the bigger stories. Now we have the 200 week right here, right in this pink line. 200 week. That's where we've hit the past 4 weeks. 1, 2, 3, 4 now. No closes below. That's a great sign. All right, 25.5, 25.6. Let's get an exact number. It's 25,586 if you see right there, right? So that changes a little bit over as time progresses, but as long as we're not closing under that, we're good, right? None of these candles closed under the 200. None of these we haven't closed back under the 200 since early March, right? This guy right here, right? And none of them before closing above it. After we've closed above the 200, we have not closed below it, and we shouldn't, right? If we're in a strong bull market, which we're still there by definition, right? Because we're above the 200 week, but we're starting to show some weakness because we've closed below the EMA, basically every EMA except for the biggest one, the 200, right? We're in the lower section of the Bollinger Band, so prices are tending to get lower by definition, right? Anytime you're at the bottom of a Bollinger Band on any time frame, your prices are low by definition and high by definition at the top part. So if you didn't know, now you know. What else do we got? Well, the median Gaussian channel on the weekly is at 24.5, right? You can see, oh, look how many touch points we have here, but no closes, right? No closes. So historically speaking, Bitcoin has never closed back below the median Gaussian channel after closing above it. So we've closed above it. So if you go back in history, I think maybe one candle or so during the pandemic, the Black Swan event. But, you know, that aside, right, the one anomaly, Bitcoin's entire history has never closed back below the weekly median Gaussian channel ever after it's closed above it. So that's 24.5. Could we wick below it? Could we go to 22, 23, whatever? Okay. But if we close under that, right, that's the first in Bitcoin's history, and that should not be taken lightly, right? No matter if you're bullish or bearish, that's the most significant on the weekly chart, 24.5. Even though the 200 week is probably, you know, it is very important, right? Let's put our most important zone ever in Bitcoin's history up. It's right there. Right, so between the 200 week at 25.5 to the median Gaussian channel, which probably not a lot of people are paying attention to, is 24.5. That's your biggest zone on pretty much any chart in Bitcoin. Right, you can take that back. You can even go a little bit lower, right, because those are the closing candles. But that's it, right? So you don't have to make it more complex than that. If we're closing above this, we're good. If you're closing below that, not good, right? So keep that in mind. If we close under here, we have a whole new can of worms to get into, and we're probably going to be stuck under here for a long time. How long? Well, that's a video for another day. We'll try to keep this to 17 hours. It seems like we've been going for a while now. If you're still with me, kudos to you. I'm trying to give you as much information as possible on as many charts as possible. So we're leaning a little bit more cautious here because we're at macro support. We're at the biggest support zone in Bitcoin's history, right? Quite literally. But we're also under all these weekly moving averages now. We're still in the top tier, right? Bulls would argue we're still in the top tier of this of the Gaussian. If I get the damn tool right, here we go. Right, so here, right, as long as you're in this top section of the Gaussian channel, you're still bullish by definition. So we need to maintain that, right, on the weekly. Bears would argue you're underneath all your moving averages. You're underneath the 21-week moving average, right? That's significant. But also, like, again, just like the 3-day, we have a move down and then lower lows, right, and lower highs, right? That's still a slightly bullish favor, right? Anytime you have a drop, right, that's slightly more bullish. Now, could it take weeks to play out? Of course, right? Let's remove this a little bit. Let's clean it up and just show you kind of just prices, right? So looking at this, does that help a little bit? I hope. Let's even take off the Bollinger Bands, right? Now we're starting to get just moving averages. So if you're looking at this pattern, right, this would be concerning for a topping, right? A big move up and then, right, you're starting to get indecision. I would start to favor the downside here. Almost looks like a possibility of a tower here, right? Something like this could do that. But if you invert the chart, right, could come back up here, right? Beware of this, right? Does that look familiar? Does that pattern look familiar to you, right? Okay, so, and then what am I talking about from previously? If you're still with me and you watched the whole video, right, it's talking about a move down, a giant move down, and then lower lows on a macro scale, right? We looked at this, and this is very clear on the monthly, but these kind of moves down, and then these kind of macro lows, right? See this channel? Does that make more sense now? So, you know, I was talking about this for months as this was happening, and then confirmed right here on this candle, the breakout, and then we just kind of retest the 21, breakout again, retest the 21 week, breakout again, and then we close below the 21 week. So this is where we are now, and we're a little bit more cautious, but we're still bullish because we're above, you know, that zone where we broke out of. So far we're just retesting. This is our biggest test. It wasn't here, right? That had high conviction rate. A bullish retest of a breakout level is almost always going to bounce. We did. And the second is the second test is the key, which is where we are now. So hopefully that makes more sense to you. Hopefully it helps somebody out there, and, you know, more updates next week as we, you know, open up a fresh week. If we close under this, right, that's, you're really starting to wake up the Kodiak bears here, right? Those are the big ones. You don't want to be playing with those, but, you know, until then, I'm still bullish, until proven otherwise. We start to get proven otherwise under here. If we make a breakout, you know, towards the weekend, you have these levels, right? Watch your moving averages. The biggest one here to watch is the 21 week, right? Because that's where we bounced previously, the previous two times. This time we need a strong recovery, right? I don't want to see a little baby recovery, right? That will just likely get faded. A strong recovery. We need to match something like this, right? 10%. I'm looking to get it back above 28 and just leave all this bullshit behind, right? That's what the bulls want to see. The bears are very close to winning here, right? We can't let them get us. So 25.5, you have your 24.5, right? This is your fail safe. If we close under here with a weekly candle, I think you know, it'd be bearish for the next probably 6 months. That's not what any of you probably want to hear, but that by definition on this chart, that's probably what's going to happen. So be careful what you wish for. If you want lower prices, not only might you get them, but you might be stuck down here for a while. So I'll kind of wrap it up with that. If you have any questions, let me know. We can take a brief look at the monthly. If for those of you who just want, you know, our content junkies and are still here listening to me in the background of whatever job you're at, I get it. The 50 month, right? Let's look this green line. This is the 50-month EMA, right? Here's a major, also a next major kind of zone, right? The 50-month. You can make this a little bit bigger even. So that goes down to like mid 23s, right? You see all these touch points? Zone from May 2022. Resistance, 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 breakthrough, bullish retest on the 50-month. Again, the green line, hold again. Right now we're back at it. 25K. 25K is very important on the weekly and the monthly. So you see that. Maybe not a lot of people look at this. So we're still good, right? On the higher time frames, we're still good. Nothing's that concerning yet. We're approaching very concerning, but we're not there yet. So that is the monthly level to be watching. The 50-month, we don't want to close below that. When do we wrap up? We still have 22 days before that. So we could end up, you know, wicking down here. With the wick, right, could go anywhere. I mean, look how low this one went, right? We went to a high of 29, a low of 19. That's a $10,000 swing. We could absolutely get that again. So don't panic because you see prices lower or higher, right? It matters where we close. All right, that's that. Let's get to our crypto fear and greed index. Just a snapshot. We're still in fear, so we have that on our side too, right? We'll see how that plays out. Quote of the day: beware the fury of a patient man. How can you be more patient than making 1,000 videos and getting no more subscribers? That's me. I'm approaching 1,000 videos with the same subscriber count I had when I was about 100 videos in. Is that batshit crazy or what? All right. Mercedes AMG GT. If you got that, kudos to you. With the I really picked it because of the background. I like this guy. Mercedes AMG GT, probably one of the better values for your money. I think you can get these for about, you know, used, gently used, slightly used, 150, 200, pretty good. Your supercar territory, right? I mean, anything in, you know, mid to high 100s for a supercar, I think it's pretty good bang for your buck, right? All right, I'll wrap it up there. I got to get some water. I can barely talk. My mouth is dry. All right, have a great weekend. We'll probably do if you're watching this long, we're probably going to do a chain link video in a little bit. So stay tuned for that. Check that out sometime this weekend. Chain links tend to be the best viewed, so I'll get that out. I know I haven't made many of those, but altcoins are really on the back burner still, right? It's still kind of Bitcoin season. Bitcoin dominance still 50%, right? Go look at the Bitcoin dominance. I still feel like that's going to trend higher, right? So on the monthly, I mean, there you go. I put that out on Twitter yesterday. Bitcoin dominance, I feel like it's just in its initial stage of a bullish throwback. To test the EMA 8 on the month. This is the monthly scale, right? And then I think we're going probably high 50s, somewhere in there. That kind of seems like the zone, right? Previous resistance, breakthrough, retest, breakdown, and initial. I don't see it really going much above that. So little bonus here on that. DXY was what's giving us the damn trouble. DXY is acting a damn fool. There's the monthly, a breakout, right? Just it's going crazy, right? I mean, look at the look at the weeklies. Like, we're working on 7 straight green weeks, right? Putting in higher highs. But you know, I've said to my Telegram group, I do believe that we're on a macro scale of just putting in a lower high, right? This is probably the initial, and then we're going to do something like this, right? So this is the likely scenario for me. We could be looking at just a range, right? We could be looking at something like this, where we're just kind of sideways a little bit for the next couple of months, you know, and then maybe we end up doing something like that, right? I think this is the more odds on favorite. If we go up a little bit higher, you know, whatever, it's not all is lost, right? But the weekly, we've put in a higher high now by definition, so we're a little bit more cautious here. I think risk on assets like the stock market, crypto, will likely be put on a little bit of a hold until we can get a rollover here. So the 200 week, the double the double bottom, the fucking tweezer bottom. Hello, Jesus, it's early for me. I started here a little bit earlier today, so tweezer bottom, right off of the 200 week. Is a almost, I would say about 80% conviction rate you're going to bounce, right? And that's why we made, you know, at the time, made a DXY back from the dead video, because it died here, and then not so fast, zombie mode. Strange shit happens in zombie mode now, and that's where we are. We're in zombie mode. Tweezer bottom off the 200 week. This is what you get, right? So we'll see how high it goes. Keep tabs on that, and that'll do it. Right, I don't think I got anything else to show. We'll do a chain link video later, and that's Bitcoin wrapped up. Let me know any questions you have down in the comments. I try to read all those. Any requests, you know, get to them, or join me on Telegram. I'm happy to take more requests there. Feed through the noise, and you know, I appreciate you watching this long. If you have, kudos to you. And my picture and camera quality is still pretty bad, so let me know what the hell to do there. I've tried every setting. What is going on with my chain link sign? I don't know.